episode number 461, 10 years to launch.
And we don't mean us. Although maybe anecdotally.
I'm Jason Tucker. Go over to my website at jasontucker.blog to find all the links over there.
Hi, I'm Say Read Media at Say Read Media. I'm Say Read at Say Read Media on all the things. That's cool.
And y'all know who it is. It's your boy Jason Cosper, aka Post Formats Balloon, back at it again on the world's most influential WordPress podcast.
Speaking of those podcasts, you can subscribe to them. Figure out wherever it is you want to listen to us. Hang out with us over in our Discord.
I just found out there's a new WordPress-wide Discord, not just the water cooler.
Oh, look at that. We'll just move over there. Then we can just use theirs.
We have some very special guests on today that
very special.
Yeah, they're very special to me personally. Of course, we've got Courtney, who's obviously special to me personally. But you know, she's old hat. She's on here all the time. Sorry. But we have Suzette Franck, who was one of the original founding co-hosts of the water cooler back in the day. Which is around the same time as what we're talking about today. So that's exciting. And then we have one of my new favorite people in the WordPress project globally, Olga Glekler, who is a core contributor and a good trouble instigator. So welcome. Suzette, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. My name is Suzette Franck. I am a WordPress hobbyist. I have about 10 WordPress sites. I also work on Magento, Drupal, and SharePoint. I work on all the things design and front-end development as well.
She got all the bad words out of the way. Good job,
yeah, geez, Louise. Just say Shopify, HubSpot, Weebly. Just come on. Just say them all.
Oh, I haven't transferred to Wix yet, so I haven't done
I've built sites in all of those, so I don't no
Great, I'm
grudges
going
are
to delete
held.
all these words. It's awesome.
You're allowed to be multi-platform. And what about you, Olga? Can you introduce yourself?
Okay, hi everyone. I am Olga. I'm full-time developer, and it's like my main job. Some people think that I can do everything, so sometimes it's going me to a trouble.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, and I'm co-lead for 6.3 triage, 6.4, and I'm doing in the community a lot of stuff. And also, I am fantasy writer. I have a full saga in draft.
Awesome. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I really want to read it. And of course, we have Courtney. Courtney, can you introduce yourself too, please?
Hello, folks. I am Courtney Robertson. I contribute a lot around WordPress.org, often through the training team, but other teams as well. And I'm a developer advocate at GoDaddy, as well as joining Say as a co-founding member of the WordPress Community Collective, the WPCC.
Awesome. Oh, Say is muted.
That's because I'm coughing like a wild person. Trying to get all of my coughing out before WordCamp US so that I can go there and not alarm everyone on the airplane. And like coughing in public didn't used to be like this weird thing where you like feel really, I don't know, just like really bad. Like I start coughing and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I swear I've tested. Anyway, so when I come off screen, that's just what's happening. So ignore me. We are here today to talk about something that is historical and monumental in the WordPress project. You're laughing, but I say that not exaggerating. It's not hyperbole. And I want Suzette to talk about this, but 10 years ago, a ticket was written. And a ticket was written by Suzette. And I would love to hear from you,
in Netscape
Suzette.
Navigator.
What?
In Netscape Navigator.
I would love to hear about where that ticket came from. I know it was your first ticket.
Yes.
So it was like your first ticket. It was like way back in the day. We were just, I think we were just both getting started contributing like at the same time. So I would love to hear about the like what was the impetus for that ticket?
Yeah, I was starting to get into contribution, and I found that there really wasn't a good kind of like sounding board for all those who are contributing, you know, like kind of like I mean, it's awesome to be able to work with other people and get to learn from them, but also there wasn't like kind of like recognition, I thought. And I discussed it with some other members at the time, and they agreed that it was a good idea to kind of bubble up that contribute tab to WordPress so that it's more easily available. And so I put in a ticket. And then 10 years later, I found out that they were actually putting it into live.
Yeah, literally.
So I'm really excited about that. That's really amazing. 10 years later.
Yeah, it actually even says 11 years, I think, just because it's rounding up, because it was in January and now it's like halfway through 2023. So it's like, just say 11. It's fine. That's what the actual ticket says. So it had a little bit of discussion. There was some discussion and folks were like, oh, well, you know, we need to have a great landing page. We need to have some stuff. But as you can see, anyone who's watching this stream, it kind of just fizzled out, right? Everyone's like, oh, we could do this, but then, yeah, we're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And then came Olga. And I would love to hear, Olga, how did you find this ticket and what prompted you to take it on?
I actually took this component as a maintainer. So, of course, I looked through the whole lot of them. I was lucky that there is not so many tickets on this particular component about and help. Still, there is a lot of work to do, even if it's like a small one. And this one catched my attention because I'm also passionate about contribution to promote this thing, to bring this ability to everyone else. And it was like very desirable ticket for me. So I started to write content and patch, just like to give it a try.
And you rallied the marketing team, which we're looking for good stuff to do. And I really think that this is a huge, this is marketing. This is marketing the community. And so I think it helped having a team to attach it to and having kind of that push. What did you find in terms of core contribution? Did you find resistance or was it difficult?
It was difficult because from the beginning, everyone was telling that this is a good idea, but I didn't receive any help. Like, okay, it's a great idea, do it. And only when it's like coming closer to beta 1, and I was starting to hurry up with these things, everyone else catch up. And when people saw that it's actually working already, so it's a real thing, everyone else catch up, and I got a lot of help from everyone, and we got 40 contributors before design team came with their ideas. So right now it's about 50 people who contributed at all to this ticket.
Olga, can I ask?
Specific ticket? That's a lot of people.
Olga, can I ask at this point too? I believe part of this began with the revival of it during WordCamp Asia. I am fortunate to have made it to both Asia and Europe, where they were presenting an earlier version of the questions at WordCamp Asia and Europe, and that helped rally some of the people that participated, I believe, in getting some of this through. So did you see that activity happening also in Asia? What was that, February for us, I think?
Actually, in Asia, I was concentrating on bulk editing thing. I have another component.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's cool.
So what, in addition to the actual tab, so that was a collective effort of the marketing team developing that content. And I actually I guess, forked a lot of the content from the WordCamp Europe contributor day page, where they had written a lot of text that kind of fit the need of that page. Incidentally, we had a long discussion about changing the tab's name from contribute to get involved because of the connotations of contribute in English anyway, of having a financial component that if you say contribute, it's like, oh, it often means a donation. And so even though we still have the contribute page, which is the landing page for this, we decided that collectively that the tab should be get involved. So it didn't imply finances, although, one could argue that it should also have that opportunity, but that's a different topic for a different show. Yeah. So what did you think about that process in terms of, because you can't just put a tab up, right? You have to write the content, you have to get the design. And did you feel that was something that was, I know there were definitely times where you felt like you were dragging people through. But how did that process go for you? Did you feel like you really had to steward it, or what was it like getting all that together?
In the beginning, I was pushing things forward like very hard, and it was like a challenge. And then, thanks to you, thanks to Courtney, thanks to everyone else, it just rolled by itself like a wheel. Whew. And it was amazing that actually I can step behind and like watching. It's cool. It's cool. And it's cool when you actually see the result.
Suzette, have you seen it yet, by the way?
I've seen little bits and pieces of it, but I haven't seen the finished page yet.
Have you not updated your 10 WordPress websites to 6.3? I'm disappointed.
No, I haven't yet. I'm kind of behind. It gets kind of put on the back burner and wait for the weekend.
Also, just so you know, and I know I sent you the credits page for WordPress 6.3, but you're also on the, like in the credits tab.
Twice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're in there twice for your 2 accounts, because one was your work account, and then you also have your regular person, just a person account. Yeah, so that was I think that is all of it's pretty cool. We also had this component of where are people going, right? After we say, okay, you can contribute, and it's like, okay, now what's next? And so we had to come up with essentially a landing page for that call to action, which we shepherded through the marketing team. And I'm actually really amazed and proud that we were able to get that done, because make.wordpress.org now has an additional subpage, and there are literally 5. There are 5 pages. 5 subpages. It is one of 5. Like, there were 4, and now there are 5 subpages. So the idea that we were able to get this up and happen it's kind of a big deal. In the back end of the make.wordpress, in the admin, soon to be redesigned admin, there's a bunch of draft posts about contributing that are like, here's how to contribute. Here's a frequently asked questions about contributing, but they're all unpublished, and they're all from like 10 years ago. And it is like somewhere in between like 2013 and 2023, like the pull to get people to contribute, like, just kind of the bottom fell out of it. I don't know what happened. Like, the idea that we needed more contributors to come contribute wasn't getting a lot of traction. And I wonder, I'm sure there's a million reasons for that, but I think that contributes to sort of what we were seeing right before, 2020 and right before COVID, of a serious decrease. And then, of course, in COVID, a serious decrease in contribution, because, we weren't marketing it. Go figure. We were very, as a group, as an entity, WordPress was, I think, very confident in its its word of mouth marketing, and it's the word camps and contributor days being enough to bring new people in. And I don't think that was the case. So I don't really know, like what was that first wave? I think when we were starting WPwatercooler, back when you did this ticket, there was a real surge of contribution. There was like a lot of people getting involved. There weren't a lot of alternatives in terms of platforms, like commercial platforms.
I would actually say that's when I met Suzette, is right around that time. She was contributing to the training team at that time, and made a plugin for the training team, the Pinkify It plugin, and wrote a lesson plan on that. That I have funny stories to tell Suzette about.
Is that still live, by the way?
Yes, it is.
Have you maintained it?
I haven't maintained it. It has the ominous warning about that it's out of date. But I don't know if I have the software to update it. But it's just a matter of updating.
I'm tagging Cosper for that. Cosper has a penchant for rescuing flailing plugins.
There you go. So I met Suzette during that time, and I want to set the context for folks that contributing at that time was very interesting.
Contributing
I was really
at that
fortunate
time?
to meet Suzette in person at least once. We did lunch at WordCamp Lancaster, and that was a lot of fun. And then it's such a full circle episode. She was doing kind of the work that I do these days. So I had done lunch
at Media
Suzette
Temple.
back then.
At Media Temple, which was then bought by GoDaddy.
Yeah. So it might, I don't remember if it was while GoDaddy had owned it or not. I think it was probably right before that. But we were using IRC, Suzette. That chat log that was in the beginning of that ticket was IRC days before we had Slack.
Wow.
That's where we were, because we didn't get Slack until 2014.
I remember that. I remember.
Yeah. So it was extra hard for people to figure out how to contribute, because we had this weird whole setup of getting into IRC and also having even a profile. And I mean,
that's totally changed. It's really easy to get a profile and set up in Slack now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's comparatively, that's still a big challenge because of the email alias thing that we do to get into Slack. But contributing back then looked a lot different than it does these days, because it was just that much harder. And at the time, people didn't Zoom. We didn't have good video chat. I mean, we barely had working Skype back in the day. And so people weren't engaging remotely with each other. There was still a lot of, at that time, it was hard to talk to people in various teams and things.
I think that's why I think that's why Twitter took off as a hub for the WordPress community back in the day, because that was sort of like that group chat. It was like a global group chat that you could kind of be in with the WordPress network that didn't exist elsewhere.
Right. IRC is like for those that are not familiar with IRC or not devs, think about command line interface equivalents of Slack. That's roughly what I would say that IRC days were like.
Every time I think about IRC, like literally, like when someone says it or I think about it, I see that little flower. That's what. Do you remember?
That's ICQ. That's ICQ, not IRC.
Oh, that's ICQ.
Oh,
never mind.
Oh yeah.
ICQ is still very visual and pretty. IRC was very like terminal looking.
Wait, could you use ICQ for IRC?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Now, hey,
I still remember my ICQ account number.
So getting people into contributing was really hard when Suzette wrote this ticket.
Yeah, I didn't even know we were in IRC, I guess.
Yes, that was not Slack log that you saw at the beginning of that ticket in that conversation.
I was in the wrong chat, the wrong platform the whole time. No wonder I couldn't find anybody.
We hadn't even been told to learn JavaScript deeply yet. That was years away.
Years. And now we can get you involved with your JavaScript.
Yeah, our project leadership still wasn't totally subsumed by VC. Let's just say. I'll just slip that in there. I didn't say anything. Nope, I'm not talking about. Look at you. Cosper's
the end result that happened, is that what you envisioned wanting to have happen? Is that like, did it get to a point where it's like, especially as you're probably reading through the ticket and seeing how things were going, and there's a Google Doc that appeared, and there was this and that and all these things that were happening. Did you start to see those things that you were really, wanting to see happen 10 years ago?
Yeah, I really like the name change from contribute to get involved, because I agree with that. Contribute seems to have that monetary value with it. But I'm really pleased with the direction that it's gone. And I didn't realize that so many people would be getting involved in this to have this happen. And it's so amazing to see everyone come together and do this. It looks great. It's exactly what I envisioned 10 years ago, is just like an easy kind of portal for people to find out about how they can contribute and what areas they can contribute, because not everyone is a developer, but they can still contribute. So this is kind of a good way to get everybody in there in the same place and have them kind of come through. So I think it's fabulous. I think it's excellent.
Yeah, I really like that we were able to get the no code contributions and the code-based contribution sections happening, and, putting no code contribution first, because the impression that everyone has, no matter, like, if you're coming, you're like, oh, I don't know technical things. Why would I need, they don't need me. I don't have skills that can be, part of this. But I think this really even showcases that first, right? It puts it first, because code is, I guess it's sort of obvious, right? Like, of course, you're going to need code. It's a software. And I think that people who are able to code are probably more, there's still a jump to getting into contribution. It's still not the easiest thing to do, even if you do code. But I think the imposter syndrome, or the not quite being sure of where you might fit in, really, even though you might want to help, thinking you're just not able to help, or that your skills aren't needed, is a big problem, I think, that I've
and it's such a great way to learn too, to get involved in contributing. You will learn way beyond what you signed up for, and it's awesome. I love learning. So the more that you can learn about WordPress, you start to reach into other areas and pick up things. And even if you're no code, you're going to end up knowing some code probably at the end of it, just a little bit.
So, or at least understanding which parts are heavy code, which parts are code content. Like, there is, even in code, there is content, because not all developers are writers, and their software needs to show words, and a lot of the times they're like, put words here. And then, if the developers end up writing it, it's not always the most the most accessible text, let's say. Not accessible in terms of like accessibility, but just accessible in terms of like understanding it, or feeling like it's at a level that like isn't over your head. So I think that it really this was really a cross team effort, because there was the code component, which you did early on, right, Olga? You made the patch, which is like, yes, hey, this is how the page will show up. So you like literally like built the page. When you did that, did you just like put in like text here? What did, like, in the actual code, what did you put in those kind of filler spots when you were building the code out?
It's actually, yes, it's like the same structure as other tabs. And yeah, I fill in the content, but still there are some tricks about translations. You need to correct, put them correctly to be able for other people to translate. So yeah, it wasn't difficult, but the most difficult part is the content itself, right here.
Absolutely. And Jason, if you can bring that back up, I think that another really exciting component of this is that, because we had this page, now we have this gorgeous call to action right here, which is just one call to action, which is like my favorite thing ever, because it's like there's nowhere else to click except this one button, right? So if you click, can you click find your team, just so for the folks who are watching? When you click that, you go to this page, which is the brand new contribute page. And if you scroll down a bit, you have this really cool little interactive, it's actually a block now, made a block by Kelly Choice Dawn is her name, right? That's her real name. I always call people by their handles. That's not the same thing. Where you can go through this and get prompts for what teams might be part of, like, might be what you're interested in. And I think that's really important, because figuring out where you might fit in, especially for no code people, is, I think, the hardest part. So if we're able to, like, kind of say, hey, you're interested in, photography and design, great, these are places where we need your help. Or you're interested in, themes and accessibility, here are some of the places we might need your help over here. And I think that really enables, it really lives up to that ethos of anyone can contribute with, and it really kind of lowers the barriers to we talk a good game, anyone can contribute, anyone can help, but then getting people to that next step, it's like we had no way to do that. And then this now enables us to do that.
I would also put a call in on the coders. Often we think that the coders are just going to go to core, and while that's the bulk of the traffic, we've got a lot of other parts of the project that do need developer mindset folks, whether that is my home over in training to help make content that teaches other developers, right? So topical content that's about the teaching of the development skills, but also we have this website that needs a revamp desperately. And so
website, it's kind of a thing.
Yep. And we have all of Make, but we have learn.wordpress.org. We've got a lot of places that people often don't think about that also need even the code crowd to come by as well. And so there's
training team, for example, like, yes, it's very helpful, it turns out, if developers are reviewing what people are teaching about development.
It really does. Or people that are like, I don't know if I know enough to teach it yet, but I'm learning, and I'd be happy to go through the lesson that a developer person has written and see if the code works for me, or point out the problem spots. Right. So it's creating some of that awareness of, really, so many teams have so many different needs. Nobody has time to sit and read every team's Get Involved page or handbook or any of those things. And this will
help
all
give a little
clarity. Yeah, there's that.
They're all really long. And the training team has done a great job with graphics and videos, but they're still
learning styles. We think about learning styles.
Yeah, they're all just they're at the end of the day, they're all just like text on a page and like in a post.
They are boring.
They're boring. It's true. And so that's really our next thing, right? Now we're going to have this onboarding path from the software. And I'm going to say, I won't say where I got the information or if it's accurate or anything, but I do believe that there have been clicks to this page from the actual software. So people have been actually clicking through and coming over to this page. Now, there's not tracking software there's not tracking in the software. Like, so those links aren't being tracked.
Yeah, no.
But we can see, obviously, where, when people are coming in, well, not obviously, but we can now, thanks to GA4, see where people are coming in, or when people are coming in to the new page. And it has been getting traction. So that
you just haven't installed Jetpack yet? Is that what the problem is, or
no.
what's going on here?
Hey, I want
so many problems to answer that question.
That I'm really excited about in this one. The other place that this link appears is also in the dashboard areas, in the credits tab. I don't know, Tucker, if you're able to share that. But there's a credits tab, and here's kind of the backstory to that. That's where we see all the faces of the contributors in that update process. But the link that's there was also going to the top level make.wordpress.org with the little blurbs. That link right there, it says get involved in WordPress. And I said that.
Why are there no pictures here?
It's just your own site at the moment. Just don't worry about it. That's not true.
Waiting for Jetpack to get installed.
Yeah. So that get involved.
Can I file a bug right now? Is that?
I made that link go there. So we don't need the, yes, look at the rest of the page of the contributors. Those are great people. But that link that says get involved, I was the one that was like, oh, that should also go here. And I'm like suggesting that as an idea. And JB, who is very active in the core team, was like, how about you make the code change for that? And I'm like, what? What me fix code that is core, and he gave me a link to exactly what line it was on. And I have to date though a core contributor, I have never actually touched code in core that got deployed. And in this case, I did, because I made that link go from make.wordpress.org to make.wordpress.org/contribute. And I also tested that it worked in multi-site. And so I did not touch code nearly to the extent that someone like Olga has touched code in core that ships. But it was just like, for as long as I've been in this project, I could never figure out, how do I even pull trunk locally and do all these things? Well, it turns out I just forked it in GitHub, made the changes, shipped it back, and did some testing on release parties, and typed in /contribute as my...
See, this is exactly the point, right? Because
but it's a baby step.
Yeah. Even though you have developer background, right? You have the capability of doing code. Yeah. There's definitely a mental barrier to like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Even though it's not like your code's going to get in there if it's bad. Like no one's like other people will look at it, and you're not like going to break every WordPress install in the entire world. But somehow it feels like that anyway. And so I think even just that experience, you should really write that up, because it shows how you can contribute to the code. Like you doing that meant that it got done, and the other code contributors could focus on whatever they were doing and just review and approve what you did. And then that really enables, like, that doesn't require, even though, like I said, you have that background, it doesn't require you knowing how to code. It just requires you understanding how to like differentiate between coding parts and text parts. Yeah. And I think that is a skill that is not as complicated as it sounds. Like it is something that is,
a lot of people could type in /contribute.
I mean, I wasn't trying to downplay it.
No. I am downplay like in all. Let's keep the perspective in mind. I typed in /contribute. That's the context.
Hey, it could have been a semicolon.
I didn't. No.
Well, I have two quick questions. One, Suzette, how do you feel about being credited in the 6.3 release 10 years later? Like, can you, like, is there any way you could, I mean, obviously you couldn't have imagined it would take 10 years for that ticket to happen, but like, you're not even really involved as much, if at all, in the community now. And so like, how did this make you feel coming out of the woodwork?
It makes me feel like, what other things did I contribute back in the day are going to be like part of something really big today? So it's kind of exciting for me, because I did a lot of work around evangelism and getting the word out and improving processes. And so it's validating. I think it's really awesome, and it validates the work that I did then. And hopefully more work can be found to be helpful today. So
does it in any way spark a fire for, maybe dipping your toe back into the community? Just a little bit of contribution, maybe?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm focused on other platforms right now. So, I mean, I still have my 10 WordPress sites that I love, but they're not really in active development. They're more in maintenance mode.
Are they on like 6.1? Like, come on.
No,
they're 5.9.
They're current. They're on 6.2 point whatever it is, but before the 6.3.
All right. So my final question is, Olga, what is your next long-term ticket that you are going to champion? What's the next thing we're taking on?
I want to see tooltips in WordPress instead of descriptions underneath all these inputs. It's next big thing I want to see alive. I think it will be pretty much changing the interface and feeling of people who are interacting with it.
You mean specifically like tooltips in core, right?
In core, yeah. And I think it should be available for plugins to use as well. So it should be like inbuilt feature of WordPress.
Oh, good. Well, we have something to talk about, because there's a bunch of old tickets in marketing that talk about a glossary. So if you're interested in this conversation, Suzette, anyone else, come and, let's make Olga's next dream come true and and we can all work together to try to get Suzette to like, come back a little bit into the community. There's a good WordPress Ventura group up there. They're pretty active. I think there may be some project leadership up there. Just, I'm just saying. You should all come back. Everyone come back. Anyone who's doing it, who's not doing it, but who's listening to this show, let's just consider it a WordPress revival. Let's do this. We might even get Tucker involved. Do you think I could do it? I don't know.
I mean, Suzette's ticket truly had to blame Nason. If we're going to dig into the archives,
this is true.
Long-standing joke in the WordPress space. Yeah. I don't even know the historical roots of it, but the community at that time, 10 years ago, knew that oftentimes people would proclaim blame Nason. And Andrew Nason went off to do important things for the government in the U.S. After his main work in WordPress wrapped up. Mm-hmm. Wishing him very much well along that journey. But in Suzette's ticket, when the official some of the first no's that were given, one of them was from Nason, where are we going to send these people? We need to send them somewhere that looks good. We can't just have it and not send them to anything useful. So, if we can overcome and blame Nason a decade later, and if Nason catches wind of this episode, thank you, Andrew Nason, for all you have done for the WordPress project.
There's a 3-year-old ticket. There's a 3-year-old ticket we can look at here that needs a mechanism for accessibility.
I think the oldest ticket, but I think there isn't one we are supposed to work on. This is the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
After a 10-year-old ticket, a 3-year-old ticket seems really recent. That's old. That's easy. That just happened.
That's incited or launched. Yeah.
And if not, we could do the preview icons and customizer. That would definitely need to be taken care of as well.
I don't think customizer is going to be around anymore.
They're not. It's back compatible. We're stuck with it, but I don't know if they're going to put much focus on it or continue developing it.
We'll see. All right. Well, I think this was so awesome. Thank you for coming on, Suzette, and making time
thank you, Suzette,
to relive this amazing moment in history. And thank you, Olga, for championing this and just all the work that you do, because you're really a secret agent in the WordPress community. You're like a just doing the things, doing the work and pushing the things forward. And it's contributors like you that make stuff happen in WordPress. Literally, it is because of you that things like this happen. And the reason that it isn't just focused on functionality for the larger entities. So I just applause to both of you for starting this historical thing so long ago and for finishing it. So thank you to both of you. It's so beautiful. So beautiful.
Well, thank you very much. Here's our outro.
Well, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, if you like that sort of thing. There's a YouTube channel. If you're still on Facebook with your mom, then yeah, totally. And LinkedIn is a thing. That's, I think, where all the kids are going these days. But really, you should just come hang out with us in our Discord. And